What's going on, good people? It is the wolf, the W-O to the L to the F, and sometimes E. Wolf, E, werewolf, me, Max headroom. All right, guys. So this video is about, as it is so titled, what is the legal level? I mean, I sometimes I forget. Well, I won't, no, don't forget. It's more so I overlook. I've often said, yeah, this is on the legal level, this is on the whatever. What truly, in fact, is the legal level? I'm going to give you my overstanding of it, and then we're going to look up what it really means. Now, out there within the corporate structure and in law, the legal level is only really, if you, from my perspective and overstanding, is only surpassed by the quantum level. Okay. David Wynn Miller, God rest his soul, I believe he was from Wisconsin, specialized in quantum syntax grammar. As far as I know, that's basically the minutia before you get to the ethereal, which is like the energy of it, of the thing, right? So we're not going to worry about all of those. We're just going to focus on what you guys can use and that's applicable and practical, okay? Easier to understand or overstand, really. So the legal level is literally like the basement of a multi-billion dollar corporate building. It's the basement. Now, if we start at the top, you've got the executive level of things, and then we've got the financial and blah 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 blah. But the heart of the building is really the administrative part of it. That's the one that makes all the big things, the big pieces move. Sure, the executives are up here like little puppet strings, but it's the heart of the business is the people and the administrative, which is part of the customer service. So when you contact the city or the whatever else, and you're like, hey, this is what I'm doing, so and so, blase, 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 right? Well, in doing that, you're interfacing with the administrative level of it. So if you ever get a reply from them when they're like, you can't do that, your house and your dog and your shed thing and blah, 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 that response you're getting is administrative. Depending on what your issue is, you may have a legal right to do a certain thing. When you register or register to move from and to shake, squiggle into place into a new jurisdiction or to new ownership, when you register something, your name, whatever else, you are telling the city or the county or the parish or the province, whatever it is, I want to abide by your rules. I want you in my business. I want to pay you for it. And I want you to deny me certain things like collecting rainwater or making a garden on this property that should be 100% mine. I want you to hold me to the same standard that the government holds you to standard of public inspection and whatnot and what forth, rules, regulations, statutes, all these things, just like you have to. I want that. You can't deny me that. You're a stupid head. I want that. I want it. I want it. I want it. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. I want it. So when you register your name, that's what you did. That's when you became part of two things you can be 14th Amendment US citizen or a national. You have both. You can only be one or the other in any one event, one moment. Can't be both at the same time. It's one or the other. So your house, your property, man, I went on a tangent here, but work, stay with me. You registered it to them. Now you're held to that level of the law, their codes, rules, and regulations. But what is that level of the law? That level of the law is legal. They legally have the right when you register your property to them to put on these legal things, even though you have a lawful right to not register. There's no law that says you have to register anything. You have a lawful right to build a crappy shed or whatever else. You have a lawful right to sell your house if that shed is janky, but hey, I'm selling it as is. Don't trust the shed, but everything else. Okay, fine. You have that right. But the cities who are held to have building their buildings commercially because you registered them, your property and your name to them, they now get to hold you to that standard. How can they do that? Because you registered it. Yeah, but what's the power behind that? Because it's legal. What's the power behind legal? Lawful. Lawful gave the right of legal things to occur. Legal means that which is either given permission or is part of our instructions, part of your tasks and responsibilities as a member of ours, the corporation. So when I say, what does this word mean on the legal level? It's because they have books like Black's Law Dictionary within their political, public, corporate, municipal, law enforcement, courts, magistrate, their world, they have words that are defined different that we use every day than what you think they are. For instance, the word drive is commercial, driver is commercial under the UCC, for profit. It's a part of their membership, it's a bubble within their bubble. You activated the commercial bubble. Here's the rules. When you registered your house to them, cool. You registered it from the land of America into their corporate world. Now there's rules and regulations that must be abided by. As a member, you did that. You registered your kids, you registered yourself, you registered your whatever, or you asked for a phone that with a serial number. Everything that they basically number is theirs. Real, natural, private, de jure things don't come with numbers on them. Ergo, if it has a number, a serial, or a code, it's probably theirs. And you must use it in a certain way. And if you don't, you get into trouble. Just that simple. So the legal level is not the law, it's a sub layer. So the law created a sub layer of law called legal. And legal means you can do this, they can do these things to you if you plug into it. But now those words that come with that legal bubble have their own meanings. The word driver means for profit in traffic doing commercial activities. That's what it is. The first driver's license were actually issued to chauffeurs because they wanted to make sure if you're going to offer driving, utilizing someone's car or automobile professionally, well, now that motor vehicle, or excuse me, now that automobile, when registered, is now a motor vehicle. You, as a regular person traveling, and you're going to do it for multiple people. Anytime you service multiple people, like your mom, um, that's then commercial. And like your mom, if you're going to service multiple people, that's their business because most of those people operate as 14th Amendment US citizens, members of theirs. So if you want to deal with members of theirs or people you don't know in magnitude, that's commercial. It's no longer a private, simple one-on-one thing like me and your mom. So, but it didn't stay. Never mind. I'm done. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, all right. So the legal level encompasses laws, rules, and regulations, expectations, responsibilities, duties, and definitions. The UCC book is part of that. Black's Law Dictionary is a part of that. Your average police officer, judge, magistrate, corporate worker, postal worker, sheriff, marshal, FBI agent, most of them do not know dick about the legal level. What does that really mean? The legal level really means is what does this word, phrase, color, italics, size, um, topography, when doing business, especially in the commercial world, which all of them are a part of, what does it really mean? See, if we go to court and the judge and the officer are like, well, you were driving exceedingly fast in traffic and you broke multiple infractions of the law. Here's your citation. You guys don't even know what was just said, really. Okay, so I was speeding from here to there. Yeah, okay, give me my ticket. It's not what they said. Well, they said that, but they said a whole lot more. Within that sentence, they basically were trying to convey to you, which you agreed to be a part of when you got a license, the plate, registered your vehicle, and you showed up because they summons you. They summons the dead, which is your legal person. What they said is your dead legal person has been accused and charged, like a credit card, like your mom, has been charged with this. So money has just been made. You shook up the bee's hive on the sea of controversy, commercial. Your boat was on the water and you generated energy. What do we do with this energy? Well, we want that energy because their world is dead. They feed on energy. They also said you were in a formerly known as an automobile, but once you registered it to us, it became a motor vehicle, and that you are a member of ours, and that you are operating as an actor and a surety for that legal thing. You then told them that you were speeding, breaking an infraction in traffic. Well, when they said in traffic, traffic means you were doing business or you appeared to be amongst other people doing business. That's traffic. That's the real breakdown of traffic. Then they said you broke and did all these infractions. Well, guess what? An infraction is not a crime. It's a fraction of crime. Now, I go into more detail on this stuff on jamesclovett.com. And we go into court stuff, we go into trust stuff, we go into all that. So if you haven't gone over there, please support me by getting those videos right now for a limited time only. We have a number of them that are free and a number of them that have been discounted. And because people email me and say, I like the information, but I can't afford some of it, I reduced all of the prices. I still need to keep my lights on and pay. You see, look, I'm not even wearing shirts that well, I guess that kind of fits properly. I'm saying it's okay. All right. But you don't see me with $200 shirts or whatever else, and you never will, because even if I could afford all that kind of stuff, I don't dress that way. I'm just simple, casual, because I'm a simple, casual kind of guy. So anyway, if you also want to support at any point in time, you can use my email, jamesclovett@yahoo.com, and PayPal me monthly on your own. You can do this, set up the same thing through Blackside 32 on my donation page, or you can join the Wolf Pack and get the behind the scenes video on my YouTube channel, which is right here. Okay. If you want it, come and get it. Like your mom. All right. Not your mom. I meant, you know, people who don't like me, their mom. Because I've done a couple of moms in my day and made only one, made probably just one. I think it's one. A mom. Anyway. All right. So an infraction means it's a fraction of the law, which you're only really supposed to be persecuted if you break the law as a whole, not a piece, not a lean on, not a sliver of real law, but a fraction. It's in the word fraction, infraction. You're in something in a fraction of a what? You're in the law and you broke, damaged a tiny piece, which then means they, but hold on, cannot persecute you or prosecute you for having broke the law if you only damaged a piece of it. You must have all of the elements and the conditions and the mens rea of breaking a full law to have broken a full law. You have to do all the pieces. Some of y'all don't even know this shit. Y'all ain't interested. Oh, oh, y'all are back. See you later, Mrs. Smith, because that was your mom. All right. So you have to have all the elements if they're accusing you of breaking a law, a real law, not a piece of a law, which is an infraction. So why can they do that? Because you are operating as a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, a member of theirs, and those members have membership rules, responsibilities, duties, statutes, and privileges and licenses and expectations. The government expects the state to act perfect. We, the people, expect the government to act perfect. The states expect the police and the judges and the courts to act perfect. And those individuals expect you to act perfect. Round and round and round we go. Like me and your mom for the last 5 years. Okay, it's the last one. Last one, maybe. We'll see. No promises. That's what your mom said. So, with that being said, let's take a look and see what the legal definition of legal is. Doobie doobie doo. Do 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 doobie doobie doo. Do 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 do. Please stay in positive, good health. Blessings to each and every one of you guys. And those people who wish me well, prayers, safety, money, love, energy, I return the same to you at 1,000 times. Huzzah. And then I keep a little for myself. All right, so share. Okay, so what does does it mean to operate on the legal level or have a legal level understanding? Operating on the legal level means activity acting strictly in accordance with official rules and statutes, often separating literal compliance from morality. Having a legal level understanding means comprehending how laws are written, applied, and enforced, enabling one to navigate systems, assess liabilities, recognize enforceable rights or obligations. Okay. So when one says this is the legal meaning of the word, like a legal department, are they saying there's a real or deeper meaning to a term and they provide clarity? When a legal department or legal expert, okay, and this is what I would be in some ways, defines a word, they are not revealing a hidden or deeper metaphysical truth. Instead, they are clarifying exactly how that term is interpreted under the law. So this is partially true. Okay. There's a little AI pushback because it's not smart or as smart as me in this area. There, it's not so much that it's hidden. We may call it hidden or a deeper truth or even metaphysical truth. Okay. From their perspective, meaning on the public side, it's just how that term is interpreted under the law. But from the organic living side, if I don't know the word and there are certain customs, rituals, and ceremonies associated with a term or a phrase or a color or a spelling or the topography, then it's hidden and it has deeper metaphysical truth. But see, on their public side, they can't say this. They know it. Well, certain ones know it. So this is where the argument ensues. This is why I tell you guys, I tell you what it is, but then I teach you to speak this, how it's interpreted under the law. This is why it can be somewhat hard to isolate and prove, which we have already. But let's talk about like capitis demutio maxima. The capitis, meaning to capitalize, capitis also means to make money on. Demutio is to diminish, and maximum is the most. So the maximum, so making money on somebody with the raising of their letters while reducing their rights to the maximum. What I just said is hidden and deeper metaphysical truth in the word capitis demutio maxima, which is something that is applied to all capitalized letters. For a long time, we didn't know how to articulate that. We just said, no, it's a straw man, it's in all caps and whatever. And they were like, yeah, 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 sure. We don't understand this private side rationalization of what we're doing. What I try to teach you guys and what we had to prove with that connection, which we've already done in videos, is they want you to clarify exactly how that term is interpreted under or action or whatever that truth or that deeper meaning is under the law. Prove it with our own shit. That would be how we say it on the private side. The problem is that some of their interpreted materials has been lost to antiquity. It's not written in books we can get our hands on. So they get to go, huh, you're wrong, stupid head. And then the moment you leave the courtroom, you're like, oh my God, like these people are getting smarter. They almost had it, but they couldn't prove it. So you were right, but you were turned away. Or you didn't phrase it right, even from the private side. And you definitely didn't phrase it right or prove your point on the legal side for interpretation under the law. And even if you do, sometimes they ignore it. A lot of times what they do to throw you off a game is they'll say, well, look, we're here about your speeding ticket, not the use of some word. Applying technical definitions. Many words have broad dictionary definitions, but very specific narrow meanings in a courtroom or contract. This is all commercial. So I'm telling you right here. For example, reasonable in daily life means sensible, but in law, it refers to a specific object standard of how an average prudent person would act. We use Webster's, they use Black's law. Webster's doesn't say Webster's law, it says Black's law. Webster's, American Dictionary. So just in those books alone, that tells you there's different jurisdictions. So the very same words, even we're reading right here, could be Webster interpreted or Black's law interpreted. Consulting legal precedent. The legal meaning of a word is often determined by how judges have interpreted in past court cases. Legal departments rely on this history to predict how a contract or law will be enforced. Draft for precision. Legal language aims to eliminate ambiguity, so it's not confusing. Lawyers define terms to ensure that everyone, including the judge or jury, understands exactly what rights, duties, or liabilities are being described, leaving no room for loopholes. So the legal level of a law is breaking down what that word, phrase means, the event means to the law. Now, I highly doubt it's going to say anything about commercial, but let's see here. See if I can kind of not trick it, but convince it. So, what is the legal definition of drive or driver in the act thereof in reference to Black's law and commerce? So it's pulling from AVVO, okay? But legally, a driver is defined as any person. This because now we're engaging in public wording and definition. This word person can mean different things. Who drives? Well, the word drive and driver should not this should not be used. But anyway, they can use the word operate, which also means commercial person, usually commercial, or is an actual physical control of a motor vehicle, which is commercial, different than an automobile, on a public roadway in traffic, commercial, and regulatory laws, regulation, that's commercial. These definitions apply to everyone operating a vehicle, which means motor vehicle, on public roads, regardless of whether the activity is for personal use or commercial profit. This is not accurate. Well, hold on. Personal use, and this is not hyperlinked, but this means to use the privilege of driving on the public side, meaning you have a driver's license, which is commercial and for profit, but you're not in the moment engaged in commercial profit. So this would be accurate. But this does not apply to somebody who's using it for private use, foreign registration, non-resident registration. So this is why sometimes you have to be careful when you think you read or know what they're saying, you may not. Anything associated with a driver, a license, traffic, regulatory, commercial, that's all governed. That's all public side shit. And so there is a personal use status on the public side. When a judge goes into his back chambers, that's for personal use, but he's still in the realm within the jurisdiction of commerce and profit. The reason why you don't see it saying private is because they try to trick anybody, let's say like me or you, who you're like, well, I was using it for personal use. Well, to them, that still means that you're on the public side and it's for regulation. Cop pulls you over. He doesn't know. He doesn't realize that he's an actor and a 14th Amendment US citizen. He just thinks he's a person. And you're trying to do some crazy YouTube stuff because that's what he's taught. But if he were to ask some of the older guys on the force or his commanding officer or the chief of police or talk to the legal department, he would find out. But they don't want him to do that. They want him to go out there and give people a hard time. And sorry, my cop friends, and I know you guys watch my shit. I do appreciate you good ones. They don't want you to know because then you're the ones who take the brunt of the lawsuits. The judge gets to sit back and say, well, the police gave you this ticket for trying to do right to travel or some bullshit, sovereign stuff, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? If you're smart like me, you then sue the cop, you sue the station. And the judge gets to sit back and twiddle his fingers or his thumbs. The prosecutor, sit back. You're the one, officer. You, because they don't teach you this. They don't teach you that the word driver means commercial profit and somebody using their vehicle. So the average person out there has a commercial driver's license. That's why you can just do Uber right away. The police officer himself is using his patrol cruiser to generate profit on the streets and traffic, which is commercial. When he goes and gets lunch and he's off duty for that moment, he's still on the commercial side, but now he's using his cruiser for personal use. The average person who goes to work with a driver's license is in personal use time. But you're not you're not traveling private if you have a driver's license and a registered vehicle to do so. If they can regulate it, it's not private. So within the public side, the public came from the private. Everything was private at first. The public literally came out of the private. And private was jealous, or excuse me, public was jealous of the private. So within their own bubble, known as the public, they created a private bubble, but they couldn't call it that per se. So you say, oh, this is for personal use. Persona. For your persona, which means your character, the mask you put on. For your person, your purse, like a woman has a purse. So you're making money, your purse. Per the sun, persona, use. In Michigan, driver means every person who drives or is in actual physical control of a vehicle. Well, once again, they shorten the word motor vehicle to just say vehicle because you're already, once again, if you're in Brazil, you don't call it a Brazil nut. Let me get a sack of those Brazil nuts. Like, motherfucker, these are just called nuts down here, bro. We don't call them Brazil nuts in Brazil, dumbass. When you taint the cake, when you taint the cake, or in this case, the driver's license was created initially anyway for profit. It was created for chauffeurs. And then they say, well, not only commercial, but while it still is commercial and you have it, we're giving you the ability to personally, without making money, but still yet controlled by us, use the license in in our membership, not for profit, for your downtime. But generally, it's made for that. We know that because you can get into your car, drive, and do Uber. Uber requires a commercial driver's license because you're using the road to service multiple people. So that's commercial. And the states regulate commerce. General legal reference. So now we're saying, okay, so what does it mean legally? What does it intrinsically mean? Like, what is the minutia of the word drive? See, y'all thought drive just meant I get in my car and I go to work. That's driving. No, that's personal use driving because you're not commercial profit driving. Both benefits are in the driver's license. But Black's Law Dictionary legally defines a driver simply as someone who steers and propels a vehicle, while older historical editions of Black's Law sometimes reference individuals employed, that's commercial, making money, profit, to operate vehicles. So guess what? This is how you can see right here that they're trying to hide it. If the older books said it and now the newer ones just say, oh, someone who steers, this older interpretation has not gone away. They're trying to obfuscate the term. They're trying to hide it. Obfuscate means to purposely hide it. So they're making the newer books have a simplified term. But see, Black's Law Dictionary is primarily commercial terminology, not exclusively, but primarily. So most things in there are commercial. This is still valid. It's not gone away, but this is how they try to lead you away with the states and the whatever and the this and the that. Employed to operate vehicles such as a stagecoach. Well, you make money with stagecoaches. Modern editions reflect contemporary usage for anyone controlling a vehicle, but that still is regulated. And if it's regulated, it's commercial. Boom. State traffic laws, state statutes define a driver broadly. For example, Wisconsin, a driver is defined as every person, what kind of person, who drives. This is commercial, or is in physical control to control something is generally defined as commercial of a vehicle. State courts do not differentiate between traveling and driving using a vehicle on the roads under state regulation. So, in other words, the state courts are saying traveling and driving are the same thing. Or I should say, the state courts do not differentiate, meaning you're these both of these activities you're using the road. But you would have to define that or mention driving as a commercial version of using the roads. Traveling is using the roads in private capacity, not for profit. Your Honor, which one of these is regulated in with a license? Your Honor, was there not a time before the driver's license was created for chauffeurs that people had the right to use the roads by means of what's known as traveling? And when was that law? When did a law remove that? See, they added driving as a code and statute, not positive law. They added this. They never said by law traveling is ended. They never created a law for traveling, but they also never created a law to end traveling. They created code, which is not law, for commercial usage and entities on the public roads. Why would they do that? Because they wanted to make money They wanted to make sure people who were making that money were regulated and held accountable. And because these roads that they call public roads, which are our roads paid for by our money and tax dollars, sweat equity, were taking damages from these big trucks. So the state wanted money and they put it under the guise, say, well, we're going to regulate them and we're going to use some of this money to pay for the roads and give it to the American people because the American people pay for these roads, so they need to be paid back. That's why police officers pay taxes. The police station pays the other stuff. Commercial law, which is now remember the states can operate commercially or they can operate constitutionally. And anywhere where they're not operating constitutionally by means of travel, then they themselves are operating under commerce. And any government or municipality that is for profit or engaged in any form of commercial corporate activity is reduced from being a government or state government and to be and will be regarded as a corporation. You can't dip into doing corporation type things and not be held to corporate then laws and try to jump back and say, no, 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 we're a government. If a majority of their activity is commercial regulation, then that's what it is. You cannot jump back and hide. Like, well, no, we're constitutional. You're not. 51% more of your activity or event is commercial, corporate, then that's what you are. In the context of federal commerce, so the federal government does commerce too. They regulate it. They have a division that regulates the states and their commercial abilities. They let the states do a majority of their own shit. But when challenged, they're like, no, 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 we set the rules. You can't just do anything you want, but we'll let you do a majority of what you want as long as you guys keep paying us. A driver is an individual, which individual usually means a living person. That's fine. Operating a commercial motor vehicle in interstate or foreign commerce. So this is regulated. This is for profit. This is a corporation, corporate stuff. The law dictionary, definitions and citations. One employed. This means for profit. This doesn't mean for private travel. In conducting a coach, this is for money. Carriage, this is for money. Wagon, this is for money, or hauling stuff, or other vehicles with mules, horses, etc. These are all for money things. Commercial driver's license, 49 USC 31301 means issued a commercial look at it. United States Code House.gov, government shit. Commercial driver's license means a license issued by a state, the state motor vehicle department, to an individual, authorizing the individual to operate, that's commercial, a class of motor vehicles. Fuck out of here. Killed it. So when the average person gets a driver's license or a motor vehicle when they register it, they're operating a class of motor vehicle. And when you want to go to being a CDL, which is a commercial driver's license for big vehicles, that's a different class. The average person qualifies for the minimum if they don't know about right to travel and they elect to use their vehicle, register it to the state, and to then operate, which is commercial, a class of commercial motor vehicle, which their vehicle is. That's why in your vehicle, it has the letter D for drive in your gear shift, because the vehicle itself, the automobile, was made in both capacities. The ability to use it for private travel, for private citizens, or as a commercial motor vehicle. But to do that, you have to do what? You have to register your automobile so it can be considered a class of motor vehicle. You have to register your automobile for it to be fully embraced, type, classified as a motor vehicle. But if you read the definition of what real motor vehicles are, you would see that you don't qualify for that. Commerce means trade, traffic, transportation. Transportation means to move things for money. Where? In the jurisdiction of the United States between state, capital S here, and a place outside of the state, including a place outside the United States or in the United States that affects trade, traffic. So when you get a traffic citation, you're doing commerce. So anybody who tells you, like some of these, Martian mud monkey gurus out here, you don't have a right to travel, bullshit. The Ninth Amendment tells us we have the right to do things that are not enumerated. So they're stupid. You shithead. Oh, sorry. Shitheads. A commercial motor vehicle means a motor vehicle used in commerce to transport passengers or property that A, because see, now that we know that a commercial motor vehicle is shortened when we get our license to just basically say motor vehicle, and the police officer says, oh, yeah, motor vehicle violation, blah, blah, blah. It's commercial. But let's see what the actual definition, gem drop here, of a motor vehicle. See, look, commercial motor vehicle means what? A motor vehicle. It says it right here. Look, look. So I told you guys, motor vehicle actually means, by its full name, commercial motor vehicle. Period. Done. End of discussion. I win. You lose. Used where? In commerce for profit to transport passengers or property that, okay, so let's look at the definition. Has a gross weight, these are all commercial terms, weight rating. Okay, so basically your car by itself has a gross vehicle weight rating. A G, was it GVW or GWR, meaning your vehicle has weight and you can classify by your own admission that whatever the normal weight of the vehicles, you want that to be called gross weight, which means commercial use. This is why most people have a Class A driver's license. Or meaning, so your vehicle, if it has a weight, that weight can be considered or called by you. You want, instead of me saying I weigh 220 pounds, I weigh I don't even know what it is, but let's just say 1,300 kilos. I've converted my free world private weight in pounds into kilos. You're changing your weight in tons to a GWR rating. You have that option to classify your vehicle as that and to register it, but there's not a law. This is the low hanging fruit. But what else is there? Or if your gross weight vehicle of at least 2,600 pounds. So they're telling you really commercial vehicles are 2,600 pounds or more. But if you want to convert your vehicle that weighs less, that's not really a commercial vehicle, but you want it to be regarded as one to do Uber Eats or whatever else, or to pick up people on the road as a police officer, you have the right to convert your tonnage into gross vehicle weight rating. Now it's considered commercial. You qualify. Or B, it's designed to transport at least 1,600 or 1,600, 16 people. At least your car cannot hold 16 people. It is really not a passenger commercial vehicle. What else? It is used to transport material found by the secretary to be hazardous. Why? Because transporting hazardous material is professional. It's dangerous shit. I don't want somebody with 400 tons of nuclear waste or liquid oxygen rolling by my house drunk. So if it's hazardous or multiple people or it's heavy as shit, that's all considered commercial. You need to be trained and qualified to do that. That's where commercial licenses come from. They changed commercial driver's license. They shortened it up because they're like, hey, we all know what it is. We don't need to say commercial. Let's trick the rubes. Let's just call it a driver's license. Let's see if they're stupid enough to not actually read the damn transportation subsections. Updated July 15th, 1 day ago. Transporting a consumer commodity, limited quality, hazard material, controlled substance. Did they tell you were trafficking a controlled substance? Driver's license means any license issued by a state to an individual authorizing that individual to operate commercial a motor vehicle. Motor vehicle means what again? Let's look at the definition. Commercial motor vehicle means a motor vehicle. Employee means an operator of a commercial motor vehicle. So they're calling you an employee at work. Guess what? Employees have to pay taxes. Guess what? You're supposed to operate a motor vehicle, including independent contractors, which is what you are essentially are. Felony, foreign commercial driver's license means an individual license to operate a commercial vehicle. Doesn't say private, doesn't even say personal motor vehicle. So they consider all vehicles when register them to be motor vehicles, commercial use. But you have the right to be in downtime and use it for personal use. But that vehicle, when registered, that license was not created for personal use. It's a feature, it's a facet. It was created for commercial activity. Even the word activity is theirs too. Let's take a look. Motor vehicle means a vehicle, machine, tractor, trailer, or semi trailer propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used on public streets, roadways, or highways. But does not include a vehicle, machine, tractor, trailer, or semi operated only on a rail line or custom harvesting farm machinery. This is why you cannot speed, excessive speeding, reckless driving. Because now, if you do these in your commercial, they're going to take away your license, which is what your general license is in the first place. This is why they can take it away. If you do these things and you do not have a commercial license or motor vehicle registered to them, you're endangering public safety. and they'll take your shit. State means a state of the United States and the District of Columbia. Why don't they talk about a class A or whatever being less than 2,600 pounds? Because that's not generally commercial, but they give you the right to identify it as that. This is what it means to break down something on the legal level, guys. This is why I'm successful. This is why my people have been successful. This is why we've won in court. Because depending on what you're doing, if you know what you're doing, there's a right way to do it. And this literally is what an officer said to one of my clients. So there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And you're doing it the wrong way. You cannot just slap a plate on. You cannot just ignore the terminology. You can't just be like, oh, I watched one video, I'm good. You have to mastermind this shit. You have to know what it is. You have to know it better than the officer, better than the judge. That's why I study and teach you guys the legal level of the law. What does it mean on the intrinsic level beyond what it looks like or appears or what I feel? Like some of these gurus, they feel like I'm wrong. They feel like they're so high and mighty. They feel like they should rip you off. I don't deal in emotions. I deal in facts. And that's a fact. I'll talk to you guys later.